What's going on, guys? MMA Outlaw back here with another video, and today we're going to be breaking down and talking about every single fight that happened this weekend, yesterday morning at UFC Macau. So let's waste no time. Let's get right into it with the early prelim opener of Luma Lubukni versus Jacqueline Amorim. And I know the odds or the visuals are not showing up here. Luma Lubukni, she looked good starting it off on the feet. Eventually, Jacqueline Amorim was able to get this fight to the ground, and it was over incredibly quickly. Not much to say about here. Great submission from Jacqueline Amorim. I believe it was an arm bar, if I'm remembering correctly. Got it quickly on the ground. Luma Lubukni, she is a terrible fighter once it hits the floor. On the feet, Luma Lubukni, she gives a lot of effort, and her strikes are incredibly clean, and we saw it this weekend. But on the ground, Jacqueline Amorim was the much better fighter, and Luma just really needs to work on that jiu-jitsu game, really needs to work on that anti-grappling game, because this performance was relatively embarrassing from Luma. She has got to be better. But Jacqueline Amorim, great win in her not her first UFC fight, but I believe this is her first UFC win, and so good for Jacqueline Amorim getting a submission victory. And so, Rodrigo Vera versus Zhu Kanji. And this was one of the fights I was the most confident in. Rodrigo Vera gets the job done. An incredible performance from him. I'm very, very, very happy. I'm very, very, very happy with Rodrigo Vera's performance. I mean, he went in there and slimed out Zhu Kanji. I mean, I talked about this guy before. His regional tape is very, very strong. I'm sorry, the UFC website always has problems, which gets me to the first advertisement of the video. UFCSavant.com. You can see a bunch of information on this website. It's still in beta mode. I'm still working on it a lot. There's currently an issue. That's why that freaking picture isn't showing up there, but there's a leaderboard. TSR stands for True Skill Rating. You can click on a fighter and see a bunch of statistics for them. And so this is a great, great, great resource for anyone who's a UFC buff, who loves the UFC. Check out UFCSavant.com. But back to the Zhu Kanji versus Rodrigo Vera fight. Man, Rodrigo Vera looked incredibly strong, was able to go in there, really was piecing up Zhu Kanji the entire time. Even got a takedown in there. It was a great, 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 great performance from Rodrigo Vera. He's a very good prospect. He was maybe going to be on the Ultimate Fighter, but Daniel Cormier, Michael Bisping, those guys didn't pick him. And I were talking about that a lot on commentary. And so it was great to see Rodrigo Vera in there in the UFC, stepping on short notice versus Zhu Kanji and get the job done. It was our first prediction correct of the night and a great performance. But moving onward, Angie Hill pitching a shutout versus Zhang Jingnan. And I really expected better performances here from Zhang Jingnan. Zhang Jingnan was a champion in one championship in Asia, and she had a huge following. And Angela Hill, while we know we've seen her in there with pretty much everyone in the UFC women's strawweight division, Angie Hill, she leaves a lot to be desired, and she's 41 years old. Yeah, she has consistent striking. Yeah, she has good grappling, but Angela Hill, man, I just... If you're going to be top level in the UFC, you beat Angela Hill, and Zhang Jingnan is obviously not top level, and I really wanted her to be. And so disappointing performance from Zhang, but Angela Hill pitching a shutout, and maybe Zhang was feeling some of that pressure being a first-time UFC women's fighter, her first fight in the UFC, making her debut with a lot of hype behind her. It was a lot of pressure, but Angela Hill really just put the pace on her and was even able to get a takedown at a point where had some control time. Anytime Angie Hill backed her up against the fence and got her into the clinch, it was wraps. At distance, Zhang Jingnan really was not able to land her boxing, and Angela Hill looked like a very, very, very good fighter. And Angie Hill at 41, 42 years old just keeps on getting better. And so, moving onward, another big pick of ours on the weekend, Ray Saruya. We said Ray Saruya was going to get the job done by submission, and he wraps. See, the UFC website sucks, man. It sucks. He wraps Louis Goulet up like a freaking blunt, like a blunt. He didn't get the first takedown. Louis Goulet was able to get back up, but that chain wrestling was incredible. Threw some strikes in there. Eventually was able to take the back, jumped on that back and jumped on the rear naked choke incredibly quickly. Started out like kind of a neck crank. Eventually, he adjusted the grip a little bit. Luis Gurley could not fight the hands, and Ray Saruya gets the job done. And this is exactly what we predicted. I'm very, very excited for Ray Saruya, a very high-level Japanese prospect with some great grappling. He's not quite like a Tatsuro Taira level, but I think he's very, very, very good. And so I'm excited to see how he develops. And now he's 1-1 here in the UFC, getting his first win after that loss to Joshua Van in his debut. And so, moving onward, Arichi Long versus Cody Haddon. And man, Cody Haddon made easy work of Arichi Long. Cody Haddon went in there, takedown. Oh, the UFC website sucks. Thank you. I just want to get it to sit right there. Cody Haddon just went in there, takedown after takedown, and really just dealt with Arichi Long in the right way. Arichi Long does have very, very good striking, and so he just took the Mongolian murderer down. And it wasn't like it was a lay and pray type thing. Cody Haddon got him down and was throwing huge strikes. He almost had him finished in the first round. Eventually gets him into the second, gets the takedowns again, gets on top, starts throwing those punches, and it was over from there. Arichi Long gets out of there against Cody Haddon without too much damage, but certainly a TKO and a great win from Cody Haddon. Complete domination from the time the bell rung. After he talked about the fact that he would have liked to strike a little bit more, I would like to see Cody Haddon striking a little bit against a guy like Arichi Long, but nonetheless, a great victory for Cody Haddon and very, very happy for him. Jose Sousa versus Ding Ming. And Jose Sousa, first of all, this was a split decision. I don't know how anyone could have given this fight to Ding Ming. Jose Sousa absolutely dominated this fight. Now, Allah, the odds and the strikes are so close, and Ding Ming was in China, and he's the hometown favorite. No. Jose Sousa was the taller guy in there. He played around from the outside. He threw long, straight punches when he needed to, beat up the calf of Ding Ming, and Jose Sousa really did look like the better fighter in there. There's no world in which Ding Ming won this fight. I do not know how it was a split decision. Great win by Jose Sousa, making his UFC debut. That was our pick. We said we were going with the underdog here against Ding Ming. And I hate to be this guy, but these road to UFC guys, a lot of these Japanese and Chinese and prospects from the Asian region, they're just less tested because the MMA scene is not nearly as good out there. And so they're a little bit less tested than the prospects that we get out of the United States or potentially even Brazil, where the MMA scene is just a little bit larger. And so Jose Sousa, great win from him, underdog pick. You'll love to see it as he moves forward. Luis Felipe Diaz versus Isak Lee. And Luis Felipe Diaz looked like a straight killer in the octagon. He marched down Isak Lee and knocked him down once. I know it doesn't say knockdown, but he knocked him down once and eventually TKO'd Isak Lee. I mean, I think that's a KO. I'll count it as a KO because, man, he really faced forward into the canvas. That was incredible striking from Luis Felipe Diaz. And as we know from his Contender Series tape and from his regional scene, he's also a very, very talented grappler and has a great submission game. And Luis Felipe Diaz looks like a real Terminator in there, and I'm really excited to see what he has to offer. I know I picked Isak Lee. Luis Felipe Diaz is a guy who has shown a tendency to gas out a little bit. As we get into a round and a half, Luis Felipe Diaz wants to be in there less and less. But Luis Felipe Diaz has a lot of promise to get you out of there very, very, very quickly, and that's exactly what he did this weekend. And so good for Luis Felipe Diaz. Very happy for him. It was only one of our only predictions we got wrong on the night. And so moving onward, Suma Darji versus... No, I love Suma Darji. I love you, Sue. Suma Darji versus Alex Perez. And here we go. The UFC website again, man. This website sucks, man. People forget, man. The UFC website sucks. You got to go to UFCSpot.com, man. But Alex Perez versus Suma Darji. Suma Darji was boxing the damn brakes off of Alex Perez. He was boxing the brakes off of him. He looked like a much better striker on the feet, piecing Alex Perez apart. Suma Darji even landed a takedown. Alex Perez could not get him down. Sumadarji, I know it doesn't say a knockdown, but he really put Alex Perez down maybe once or twice. Looked like it was in the second round where he put Alex Perez down. He looked so good in there. And man, it's just so upsetting for a guy like Sumadarji, who won the first round, was winning the second round, was going out there and schooling a guy in Alex Perez, who, let's see what he was ranked. Alex Perez, I believe he was ranked number 14 in the flyweight division. Either way, a ranking on the line for Sumadarji, and the eye poke makes it so, or not the eye poke. The eye poke was the first foul from Sumadarji, and the nut shot. Alex Perez, man, throwing up. They had Alex Perez with a bucket in the octagon. Get this man a bucket because he is throwing up. Get him a bucket, man. He's throwing up. So Alex Perez, man, hunched over the bucket, could not continue after the 5 minutes. A no contest, a really unfortunate fight. Really want to see these guys run it back. And sad because I felt like our Sumadarji bet was well on its way to cashing. So moving on, we're Jake Matthews versus Carlston Harris. I do not know how Jake Matthews did not get a finish here. I mean, does it say that he had knockdowns? Man, he was piecing the hell up out of Carlston Harris in round 1. I mean, did he have a knockdown in round 2? Are they not going to credit him with he had a knockdown in round 3? Man, he was boxing the brakes off of Carlston Harris. If he just every time he would march down Carlston Harris, he would hurt him. Harris would get up against the cage. He would move backwards. He would circle out on the outside, throw a punch or two to give himself some space, and then he would reset. And Jake Matthews would just kind of let him do this, let him recover. And I can appreciate Jake Matthews wanting to be patient. He doesn't want to gas out. He's had some unfortunate luck here in the UFC. We all know what happened in his last fight against Neil Magny. And so, man, it's just unfortunate for a guy in Jake Matthews who is so talented, but, we need to finish this fight. There's no way we can go through this brutal of a beating. You can deliver this brutal of a beating to a guy in Carlston Harris who's been knocked out in both of his last fights, and we can't get a finish. Man, Jake Matthews, we got to be able to chase those finishes just a little bit more. But a great performance from Jake Matthews, and he did piece up Carlston Harris the entire time out there. And so, Kai Asakura, my man Kai Asakura versus Cameron Smotherman, and I told you guys we may witness a public execution this weekend. Kai Asakura might kill Cameron Smotherman, and that's exactly what happened. We saw Kai Asakura step through with a big right hand or a big right hook. Whatever it was, he made that big step-through motion to switch stances, followed through with another hook, and just landed on Cameron Smotherman. Oh, my God. He hurt him, had him backed up, and then just put him out. It was incredible to see. Asakura has incredible power. And, man, this is what we've been waiting for in the UFC from Kai Asakura. It doesn't have to do with him being at bantamweight versus flyweight. Kai Asakura, he doesn't have great grappling defense. That stuff still remains true. But on the feet, I'm telling you, Kai Asakura is up there with the best of them. He has great striking and insane power, and we saw it on display this weekend against Cameron Smotherman. Good for Kai Asakura. And so, moving on, Taliesin Teixeira, who got put out cold, man. Guess who's back? The sheriff's back in town. Sergey Pavlovich, man. People forget, man. Sergey Pavlovich, he was on a heater and fought Tom Aspinall for the interim belt. People forget, man. Sergey Pavlovich, he's an absolute stud. And he slimed out Taliesin Teixeira. Big overhand right. Puts Taliesin Teixeira down. Hits him on the side of the head. Sergey is the minus 600 favorite for a reason. Gets Taliesin Teixeira out of there very quickly, 39 seconds. How about you? Sergey Pavlovich doesn't even get hit with a significant strike. Man, good for Sergey Pavlovich. The heavyweight division, what are we doing? And wait, before I get into this next fight, I got a little excited. What are we doing with heavyweight? Because Volkov has to fight the winner of of Lewis versus Hockett. Because we all know what happened the last time he fought Derek Lewis. And so if Lewis wins, we got to see that run back. And if Hockett wins, Hockett's the next big contender. Volkov has beaten Sergey Pavlovich, right? and has been on a huge run at heavyweight. And he didn't even lose that Almeida fight, so he should be on an even stronger of a run. Or he didn't even, was it that Almeida fight? He didn't lose that Gane fight. He did win that Almeida fight. It was by split. That Gane fight, he didn't lose, and so he should be on an even stronger win streak. Sergey Pavlovich, right? So we have Alex Pereira versus Cyril Gane, and then the winner of that has to fight Aspinall, and then the winner of that has to fight the winner of Volkov versus Hockett, or it's going to be Hockett. It's not going to be Derek Lewis. I don't even know why I'm talking about it. Let's fight the winner of Volkov versus Josh Hockett. And so where does this leave Sergey Pavlovich? Sergey Pavlovich is in a very, very, very weird spot. I have a feeling he's probably going to end up fighting like a guy like Johnny Walker, who's going to be coming off a win after Johnny Walker beats the crap out of Ante Delia. And so it's just kind of weird. Sergey Pavlovich is in a little bit of an interesting spot, but a great win from him. And a crazy knockout is certainly going to put you up there in title contention. He was asking for the title. No way that happens. Alonzo Atomic Menifield versus Zhang Mingyang. And Zhang Mingyang thinks he's a marauder, man. And Alonzo Menifield came in there and he showed him some true American spirit. That's the American spirit Alonzo Menifield just displayed. Right, Alonzo Menifield. He came in there. He was winging huge punches. Not much technique down to the name. But he just goes in there and throws with some serious intention. Zhang Mingyang, we saw it in the Brenton Navarro fight. We even saw it in his road to UFC bout. He will just go in there and throw with his chin high in the sky. He's just sitting there waiting to be cracked. Look at that man. Let's all take a look at that man. Look at that man. He's just sitting there waiting to be cracked. Just wants to be cracked. So that chin gets cracked. Alonzo Menifield throws big punches, big meaty hooks, puts out Zhang Mingyang, was hurting him bad all fight. We called this shit. We knew it was going to happen. Alonzo Menifield gets Mingyang out of there easily. And so the main event of the evening, Song Yadong versus Deiveson Figueiredo. And I will say, I was not happy with how this fight was going for Song Yadong. Song Yadong looked incredibly timid in there in the octagon, throwing his strikes. And yeah, he had a few good moments, I would believe more so in the second round than the first round. First round was really close, ended with that slip. Deiveson Figueiredo gets on top, probably wins the round because of it. And round two, Song Yadong is certainly piecing him up, certainly landing the better strikes as we expected. But Deiveson Figueiredo is not really doing much. And yeah, Song was beating the crap out of him. In that second round, and was starting to pull away and was probably going to win the fight, cruise to a victory. I just expected him to be able to separate himself a little bit quicker, a little bit earlier in the fight. And so I was just a little bit disappointed in Song Yadong's performance. Sorry, I was checking the microphone, making sure I am still all Gucci. And so not too happy with Song Yadong's performance, but he got the job done nonetheless. And so very happy for Song Yadong. And so now it's time to review all of our picks and how they did. Song Yadong in the main event, 1-0. Alonzo Menifield, 2-0. Sergey Pavlovich is 3-0. Kai Asakura is 4-0. Jake Matthews is 5-0. Suma Darji should be 6-0, but we'll go with 5-0 still. Isak Lee, 5-1. Jose Sousa gives us a 6-1. Cody Haddon, 7-1. Ray Saruya, 8-1. Angie Hill over Zhang Jingnong moves us to 8-2. Rodrigo Vera versus Zhu Kanji moves us to 9-2. And Luma Lumbukme losing moves us to 9-3. So a great weekend on the predictions. And as my boy UFC Lay always says, make sure you keep your eyes to the sky, never glued to your shoes. Tune in to next week's video of our breakdown of every single fight for that fight night coming up. Bilal Muhammad will be fighting Gabriel Bonfim, and so very excited to break that one down for you guys. So check out that video, which will be coming out on Thursday. And make sure you guys smash the like and subscribe button. We're on the road to 200 subscribers. Let me know in the comment section what you think about the fights this weekend. And again, keep your eyes to the sky, never glued to your shoes. Peace.